My name is Anne-Charlott Callerstig, and I have been working with gender equality issues both theoretically and practically for the last 20 years somewhat, often with a collaborative and interactive approach, trying to understand and learn from the practical work to promote gender equality and diversity in organizations. Developing business through inclusiveness and gender awareness, the main focus of the debuting project. So why should we care about this? So the first point I want to make is that gender equality is a shared European value. Promoting equal economic independence for women, closing the gender pay gap, advancing gender balance in decision-making, and ending gender-based violence is a central concern and has been so for a long time. The goal is a union where people, regardless of gender and in all their diversity, are free to pursue their chosen path in life, have equal opportunities to thrive, and equally can participate in and lead the European society. So freedom of gender discrimination is a human right, needless to say. Still, in all European member states, huge gender differences and discrimination patterns still remains and needs to be addressed. Here, companies also have a really important role to play, and over the years, legal demands and regulations have increasingly put pressure on companies to increase their efforts in the area. And research tells us that different laws and obligations also has a normative effect on norms and values, which has been changing over the years, and awareness concerning these issues are also rising. And especially the new generation of employees, the so-called Generation Z, are not afraid to demand their rights. And attracting, and maybe even more important, retaining the right competence is crucial for the future survival of many companies. In many growth-related areas, there is a shortage of competence that is also likely to increase in the future. Now, this competence is often gendered, and especially in gendered segregated professional areas, gender awareness is often key for the possibilities to close these gender gaps. I will give you one example from the tech area, an area that underpins much of the innovation and growth in the world today. In a report published this year by McKinsey, they conclude that there will be a tech talent gap of somewhere between 1.4 million to 3.4 million people in 2027 for the EU countries. And they also say that if European leaders sincerely wishes to increase their competitive advantage and growth by addressing this technology gap, they should consider that women occupy today only 22% of all tech roles across European companies. Also, even though the number of women in tech education is increasingly growing, company needs to become much better, not just attracting and recruiting women, but also in keeping them. Around 70% of European women in the tech area feel underpaid compared to men. Half experience sexism, another study shows, and about the same number, 70%, feel like they need to work harder and prove themselves because of their gender in comparison to their male co-workers. The economical advantages of working towards better inclusiveness and gender equality, and the cost of not doing it. So many have heard of the many studies showing how companies may benefit from gender equality and diversity. And there are many hard facts supporting this claim today, actually. And going back to the tech case, if Europe could double the share of women in the tech workforce to about 45%, or an estimated 3.9 million additional women by 2027 in Europe, the same McKinsey report as cited before show that it could close the talent gap and also create an increase in GDP of as much as 260 billion to 600 billion euros. Here, research showed that equality really matters, and one example being how companies with gender diverse boards outperform those with no women in times of crisis. Companies with greater gender diversity are also better able to recruit and retain top talent, helping making them more resilient. An even more important fact is that companies that are more gender equal are better at addressing the challenges that demands their transformation. Yet studies show also that the unequal boards and workplaces are not the problem of past, not at all. One example is the Swedish energy sector, an area with a huge future competence gap, where a typical Swedish energy company today has a CEO named Anders, which is a typical maiden name in Sweden. 75% of the employees are men, and the board consists of 7 men and 2 women on average. So many companies are today working with sustainability in different ways, most often with the aim to address environmental concerns while also considering the economic dimension of the businesses. Fewer, however, are sure of how they can address the social dimension of sustainability, which has been a growing concern for policymakers and in research. And more research is really needed here. Existing studies show that not taking social perspectives into consideration may not only be a missed opportunity in addressing current social challenges, but may in fact also make them worse. On the positive side, research shows that companies that have more gender diverse boards of directors and more policies and practices for gender diversity adopt more environmentally responsible policies and practices and are quicker in doing so. Norms concerning users and usage affects the innovation of products and services, and serious concerns about this have been raised in recent years. Notable examples include smartwatches that does not function properly on dark skin, machine learning algorithms that render women invisible on the internet, or designs that greatly limit the accessibility for users with different physical abilities. So these issues results in unintended consequences or malfunctions that at best proves to be frustrating for the users and at worst have the potential to cause serious harm. Furthermore, the projects being produced and sold may only cater to a small proportion of potential users and also perpetuating stereotypes about both users and usage. To sum up then, there is today a large pool of evidence why inclusiveness and gender awareness are important for business development, which I have given you some examples of today. The next important question after the why question then is the how question in how this can be done. And I will leave you with some advice based on research findings on this before I finish. So research shows the importance, first of all, for all of us to understand that we all on a daily basis do gender. And the willingness to address gender norms and belief systems in the company is therefore of huge importance. Another important starting point is using gender knowledge and gender disaggregated data, and also the involvement of gender equality experts when needed. It is of crucial importance that management actively steers the work in the company, communicates the why and the vision for the work, allocates necessary resources, demands results, and monitor and evaluate the work. It is important to ensure a systematic organizational approach, building equality infrastructure in the company, which includes support and accountability systems, and to design holistic and long-term strategies. Finally, all employees need to have the relevant knowledge and actively also participate in the work to avoid creating resistance and also to make the work integrated into the daily operations. Research, evidence, and practical experience clearly show that there are not many simple solutions or quick fixes in this area. It takes courage and the will to test and sometimes fail, and to learn and develop together.